Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below the video. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Chocolate Saying, Arwin and Sleeping Warrior. Good to have you all.
Yo, yo.
Hello, what?
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Hello, one and all. So I want to give the audience a very quick reminder of the namesake for the show. So countdown to reification on account of the fact that we have three individuals. The Rumpus, who is long overdue with his reification fallacy application to the Isle of Man observation that Anthony made on his belly to catch the north end of the Isle of Man. So that's the first. The second is Sean Hufford for his defence of, let me get it right, the Geo Whisperer. That would be Soundly, who apparently has recently been doxxed. We'll talk more about that later. And Geo Streber Alex Nichol, who is the person who was having a hangout with Anthony when he was being fed by Soundly. Now that's unequivocal, absolutely certain. We've got a recording of it, so there's no two ways about that. However, Sean Hufford claimed to the contrary, defending these asshole liars. So given that we have a recording of it and it's been checked by a couple of sound engineers to prove unequivocally that it is absolutely Geo Streber being fed by Soundly, we would like some sort of response from Sean Hufford, given that he's defended this absolute nonsense. So that is also part of the countdown to reification. And last but not least, we've got Slice Barcane, who was challenged by Ranty to address his observation of, I think it was the Isle of Man also, correct, from Nicky Nook. And he completely ignored the point, claimed that we were lying about the distance, which is very amusing, but nonetheless he has completely ignored the actual issue. So there's Slice Barcane, there's Sean Hufford, and there's Rumpus, who are all getting bundled into this countdown because these things are long overdue, with the exception of Sly, who's addressed it but just essentially ignored the point, so might as well slap him on there. It's not that important, really, as an individual and his issues with his reification fallacy that is the globe model. So that's about it. Anything you guys want to add before I do a bit of housekeeping?
Not really, no. Let's go through housekeeping.
Check out Flitter Early Birds.
Other than to plug your show. So any signs of curvature?
Nope.
Absolutely no evidence whatsoever for curve.
Absolutely no evidence.
A lot of obstruction mistaken for curvature.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nope. The Earth is stationary.
Nope, none.
Nope.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container? For all those space lovers out there?
You can't have a gas pressure without a container, Nathan.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
There is no distance to the sun.
Nope.
What about scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Any
Aberration.
evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yeah, I tried that out today with a fresh geology student, and it confused the hell out of him. I actually try to hear him out. Like, yeah, what do you know? Where did you get it from? And even as we talked about, he really did figure out, like, yeah, I just got this from books. I got this from this teacher who did get it from that book. And yeah, it's mostly just stories. Because if you ask, like, yeah, the actual tangible evidence, like, that we got scans and it's a bit, oh, really? So did you scan lava? No, but other things. And yeah, it got really messy, but it was good. So yeah, definitely no evidence for a multiple.
You know, imagine when we were kids and we were being taught all this crap. If we had enough sense to ask them for the evidence and the proof of it back then, you know.
Well, we'd probably be sent. The principal would be a more crowded office.
Yeah,
Probably.
just like I was told. I was told it's in the textbook. That's it.
Right.
Just learn it. So it's gonna
That's
be on
the
the
curriculum.
test. Yep, that's what I was told.
Well, last but not least, any evidence of the R value, Earth radius, gentlemen?
No.
No evidence whatsoever.
Only in math. Yeah. R isn't even a physical, literal thing. It's just math. It's a mathematical deduction.
Well, that concludes the housekeeping. Excellent.
Do you want me to drop onto Skype, Nathan? Because we need the sound on the Sean Hufford point.
Yeah, sure.
All right, 1 sec.
If you can just watch the back door, Arwen.
Yeah, sure. I'll snipe them out.
Snipe those snipey bastards. Want to just check your sound works? Oh, no.
Perfect.
Job I asked. Try that one more time.
Yeah, it's working.
Excellent.
I'm just getting rid of some clutter. Hang on. Yeah, I'm done. I should have it down onto one window now. Yep. And then just open up that. Oops. Geoli. All right, so screen share, display, yes. And then, all right, we'll deal with Sean. We'll deal with Sean first. Okay, so with a hangout with GeoStreamer about a while ago. Oh, what's this? Yeah, get rid of that. Wrong. Discard that. GeoLite 2. One-to-one hangout with GeoStreamer. I went back to listen to it as a result of some bloke called Jimmy, who obviously is not his real name, said some silly things to do with the distance to the sun. So I went back to listen to a particular hangout and I heard something that sounded a little bit suspicious. I decided that it warranted a little bit more investigation. And I asked Nathan, went public with it, and basically got some help from some audio forensic guys that demonstrated that this sound did in fact come from GeoStreamer's microphone. I'm going to play the sound clip in question. Here we go.
Please go back. Let me check it. Where was it? Further down, right?
Yeah, go back to that definition he cites to show you back.
Small angle formula. What?
Can't differentiate size.
Small angle.
So basically, he says, go back to that definition he cites too, and then he says something like, you can't differentiate between so what we did was we got an audio forensics. Oh, then Sean responded by saying this rather silly response based on his amateur investigations, which are better than mine. But this is what Sean's position was.
You can hear right there that some audio that's not Anthony cuts off as soon as Geo starts to talk. Anthony is the one playing my hangout while he's talking to Geo. What a fucking twit. Audio guy. Gotta love me.
Right, so Sean claims that I was playing his Hangout. Why I would be doing that, I do not know. But then immediately or very shortly afterwards admits that he couldn't find a Hangout in question. He could say with 100% certainty that it was not on his, it was not one that was on his channel. So that he had to find the Hangout in question. He challenged me to go and find a random Hangout where Nathan randomly said a phrase, and I found it within a day. I spent about an hour looking for it, and I found it. But we got somebody to give the frequency spectrum analysis, I think it's called. And basically, it shows a flat line between the limitations of GeoStreamer's frequency on his mic and the frequency on my mic. And you can see clearly that in the band where it's relevant, that it's capped to the GeoStreamer frequency. That proves beyond any reasonable doubt for anybody that the sound came from GeoStreamer's mic. If it came from my microphone, the sound would be all the way up here, and it would be into the band where it's my frequency only. And it doesn't do that. Sean's had to obfuscate the hell out of this by amplifying the hell out of the background, and he never got anywhere with it. So that was the conclusion of the analysis. And then we're left with Sean's counter, which was here.
Like I've always said, if the background audio would have been picked up on Geo's mic and Geo's mic alone, I would absolutely be required, with no questions asked, that I would have to find that Hangout. Anthony and Nathan keep saying that the Hangout is the most important thing. No, if you find the cause of the audio being picked up and it's not Geo's microphone, it's actually not the most important thing.
Yeah, if anything, it's evidence that I was coaching Riley.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait, let me check it. Where was it?
yeah,
Further
if
down,
anything,
right?
it's evidence that I was coaching Riley.
Yeah, go back to that definition you said.
That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me.
So basically, we go back to this point, which is this photograph that was taken from the voice frequency spectrum analysis, or whatever it's called, and that proves that it was GeoStreamer's microphone, and it absolutely proves that Sean has to find the Hangout that he deemed that I was listening to, or, well, basically, he's got to admit that it was GeoStreamer that was being coached, and he's had to propagate the lie because he has to save his friends at all cost. He has to obfuscate the point, and he has to make it sound like there's plausible deniability at all costs. Well, that's the black and white truth. It came from GeoStreamer's mic, and I'll just play one last time. I'll just play this little clip again.
I mean, if the clicks from GeoStreamer
This one.
Like I've always said, if the background audio would have been picked up on Geo's mic and Geo's mic alone, I would absolutely be required, with no questions asked, that I would have to find that Hangout.
Well, you didn't find the Hangout, Sean, and it was picked up on Geo's mic. So we want the concession. We want you to admit that you've lied, you've tried to deceive people, and GeoStreamer was, as a matter of fact, being fed by Soundly, and you conspired to hide it at all costs to protect your friend GeoStreamer and Soundly. And obviously he's never, ever, ever going to do it because he's intellectually dishonest, yet points the finger at me with the exact same propagation that I'm doing the crime that he's actually guilty of. He claims that I'm the one that's intellectually dishonest. Now, I'm the one with the evidence, buddy. It's time for you to own up to you and confess to your sins. Are you going to support that GeoStreamer was actually being fed by Soundly? Or are you going to lie and say that he wasn't? It's time. You've had all that time to find the Hangout. You haven't found it. And you are absolutely required to prove it. And you can't prove it. It's like gravity, Sean. It's time for you to confess. It's time for you to confess and admit that you lied.
Yes, time to confess, Sean. Because
So that wraps
obviously, yeah, I think that's it. We're done. If you want to join back in the Hangout, Anthony. Thank you very much.
Well, I may as well finish. Can I not just finish?
Oh yeah,
this
sorry,
here?
I forgot all about the Isle of Man and Rumpus. My bad.
Yeah. So the other point with the Rumpus is that in the original video from the Isle of Man, when I asked the question, "What was the land?" This is where I was stood. Nobody ever disputed that. The issue, I'm gonna make it bigger. The issue was what was the actual height, but that was kind of a red herring because you shouldn't see the Isle of Man from here, right? The issue is, why are we seeing the land regardless of the height? Because it's supposed to be behind the curve of the earth. So the question that I asked in this video was, what was the height? What was the land that we were looking at? And the question they were asking back was, what was the height? So basically, because this was taken in summer, it was like a warm day, clear day. And people were saying, well, you need to go back and do it in winter. You'll never get it in winter. So I was like, right, okay. So the challenge was to go back and repeat this observation, but do it from the beach. Now, I'm sure it was the rumpus. If it wasn't the rumpus, it was Slice Barcane. It was one or the other. Could have been both. But the point is that this footage was challenged to be repeated from the beach, right? And this is the floaty land in question. Even from the height I'm at now, that land is not supposed to be visible. Rumpus would argue that this is superlooming. But we say, no, we just see it because it's there. Bit murky, bit of atmospherics going on, whatever, but we see it. That's not a mirage. So the question I asked was, what was the land that was here? So don't be fooled when people say, oh, well, you said it was an island and blah, blah, blah. So what? Yeah, we may have got that wrong, but we shouldn't see it if it's the Isle of Man. That's the point. So what I then did was I went back to the same point, but onto the beach, and I got this footage. Let's pause that. And as you can see in this footage, this is the same patch of land. At the beginning, when I'm looking at the land, I didn't initially recognize it because it's squashed. It's a bit like Ranty's boat when we saw the Stenner boat and the word Stenner. You could see clearly that it was squashed. Well, the same thing's happening here. This land is being squashed for some reason. It's not consistent with a sphere. If it was being squashed, it only makes sense on a plane, in that you're looking down a tunnel, you're looking down a tube, your ray of light that you're looking at. And when I look across the land, I can see that the land that I was looking for, that I was challenged by the Rumpus or Sly, whoever it was, to go back and repeat. I can see that land. It's there on screen right now. It sits above the waves. Okay, you may not be able to see it if you're playing Blind Bunny, but it is there. Now, that land cannot be there at either elevation, but the fact that I get it lay on the beach is a problem, because it means that something else must be going on. It can't be a sphere, because neither vantage points are able to see the Isle of Man from that point because of the curvature of the Earth. So neither of them are consistent with a sphere. And if you're going to put this down to atmospherics, this is where the Rumpus has got his claim in, because he claims that he can model out not just the ray trace that follows the eye, but he can model out how there could be a mirage. And obviously, if there's a mirage, then he's going to have to show the whole thing can be like miraged up. So it's nonsense. But he claims that he can do it. And he's had about 8 months on it, and he hasn't done it. I know he's had a cold, but I mean, I've got a cold right now, but I'm still able to come on the show, and Rumpus is on the show daily. So I don't accept that you've had a cold and therefore not been able to do it, Rumpus, because I'm here most days, and I've got a cold now, but I'm still able to be here. And obviously, as we move the camera back out, there was some debate over what the height was here. Some people said I was as high as 10 or 12 feet above water. I said, no, I'm a few feet above water, but it doesn't matter. That it's a distraction technique aimed at solely derailing the point, because as I demonstrate, I'm lay on the beach on my belly, and I'm looking at the same land that I was looking at from on top of the hill, neither of which should be seen on a sphere. So the question becomes, how is this possible? And this is Rumpus's final chance at begging the question. Nathan's allowing him to beg the question on this point because it's his last occasion. And it's took him 8 months to do it, and still, as yet, no concession. Can't model it. It's not going to happen. But if he does, I'll just show you quickly what my rebuttal is. I'm not going to show it all. But all I'll show you is that I have my rebuttal ready already for what he's about to show. I don't know whether it's loaded that, actually. Yeah. So basically, this is my rebuttal. This is my rebuttal
Riley,
ready to do
quick,
it already.
I don't want to disturb you, but just on your previous point, Sean Harford addressed you in the chat, and he responded to you, so you might want to check that.
Who responded?
Sean Hufford.
What was his response?
In regarding Mike hiding something from you that he addressed on last night's hangout of his, he said you avoided that, so I figure you might want to check that out.
That sounds like a red herring distraction again. The point is, Sean, you covered for GeoStreamer. We all know you did, and you're a liar. And we want to know, are you going to concede that point or not? I don't care about Mike. It's got nothing to do with Mike. So whatever you think that Mike's got valid to do with this conversation is irrelevant, Sean. We want to know why it is that you lied and tried to cover your friend no matter what. You put your own reputation, whatever that reputation may or may not be, on the line at all costs to protect your friend. And everybody knows that GeoStreamer was being fed by Soundly. You guys, you have to defend it at all costs because you were caught cheating. So the question is nothing to do with Mike. It's directly to do with you, Sean. Are you going to concede that GeoStreamer was being fed by Soundly and you lied and covered up at all costs? Or are you going to double down or find some level of distraction to move away from the point?
Are you done with Skype now? Have you got anything else to share? I know it's dropped already. Preemptively. Hello.
Welcome back.
Yo. Chocolate, do you want to, or was it, I don't know, was it Chocolate that just said that? Do you want to read out the actual message that he put word for word?
Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second.
I might be able to get it myself if I'm getting back in quick enough. Oh, and Alan B's also got something to challenge Ranty on. The next time we see Alan B on the panel, make sure someone reminds me, because I want to corner Alan B on that Ranty point.
Okie dokie.
Shout out to Hyena.
No, I've missed his comment. Did you see his comment, Nathan?
No, sorry. Paying attention to far too many things to watch the chat continue. I'm watching it now.
Do you want to repost your comment, Sean? Let's see what nonsense you've got to say. If it's a red herring, it'll just be ignored. You deal with the point in hand.
Wow. Got a bizarre statement here in chat.
From who?
Yeah, it's
I don't know,
already
some guy,
scrolled.
Vladimir Nabokov says, will Ranty ever concede that he lied to Jamie Brown about believing in chemtrails and convincing the autist sunscreen is demonic? No.
Will
deal
Ranty
with
ever
it.
concede that he lied to Jamie Brown
Doesn't
about
make any sense.
Ranty believes in chemtrails?
I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, sunscreen, that stuff is really bad for your skin. There's other ways to actually do that. But yeah, you have to get into nutraceuticals and stuff. But yeah, sunscreen is really bad for you overall.
Right, so I've had the comment. The comment was Sean Hufford, addressed once again. First 10 minutes of last night's stream showing where and how Mike has hidden something from you, Anthony. Nice to avoid that. How does that address the point in hand? Right, I don't care what you think Mike's hidden from me. It's got nothing to do with the point in hand.
Okay, let's just reiterate the point. So, GeoStreamer was being coached by Soundly, and you discussed it with Soundly, the liar, who lied through his back teeth to you also, Sean. Now, that's your issue. I don't care that Soundly lies to your face. That's not my concern. However, you have claimed that Anthony was listening to a hangout. Wrong. Soundly was just lying to you and everybody in his audience and us. So we know that because we've got a recording of him coaching GeoStreamer. He also said to you with a chuckle, it sounds more like I'm coaching Anthony. Ha ha ha. No, he was just coaching GeoStreamer. We've got a recording of it. So your shit that you have asserted needs to be rescinded. Double quick pronto.
All of it. Yeah, all of it needs to be rescinded, Sean. You're the one that's telling lies here. We don't really care about GeoStreamer or Sean, GeoStreamer or Soundly at this point.
We do. We just know unequivocally that they are liars because we've got a recording of the very thing they've denied. So we know that Soundly was coaching Geo. That goes without saying. So it's not that it's not important. We know these people are frauds and liars, but there's an outstanding issue with you, Sean, having defended them in the face of this recording. So yeah, that's what the countdown to reification is. 4 days to go. Let's see how they do. So far, a red herring from Sean. That's what we've got. pretty poor. These are the people defending the globe. You would expect them to be squeaky clean with the truth on their side, not double-dealing, underhanded cheats and liars, which is what you've got defending the globe. Let's just make that clear. So, Travis, you there? Hello?
Yeah. Yes. What's up?
So, you interviewed Crow yesterday, did you not?
I did. Yeah, it went really well. So I've just got to go through the file and get rid of all of the stops and starts and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, you just turn the guy on, and he just will talk and drop knowledge. So yeah,
he's very.
The only thing that would top that, in my opinion, would be able to interview Robert Pisano too.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Nathan. How are you?
Very well. He's very switched on in terms of his phraseology. So he certainly would never profess to be a flat earther, and he unequivocally knows that the Earth is a flat plane. So wrap your head around that.
Yeah. We touched on it a little bit. I'll have to go back. I actually was surprised that he said what he said. So, but I can't remember what it was specifically. But it was more than a general nod.
I'm not going to give him full credit, but I seem to vaguely remember him saying words to the effect that the Earth is obviously and observably a flat plane. So it might be the case that if I went back through some of his hangouts, I might have stolen that. I can't remember, but I don't think it was exact word for word. Okay. But he did say similar words. But he prefaced it by saying, "Look, I don't count myself as a flat earther, and at the time I didn't understand why. Now I know what a flat earther is and what they adhere to, and the model that they will, use, the azimuthal equidistant projection, the disk model, the flat frisbee that gets painted on a backdrop of stars. That's what a flat earther seems to represent in modern times. And I've got to be honest, I would be ashamed to put my stamp next to that also.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you pay attention enough to his episodes, if you listen to what he talks about in terms of space and our environment, I don't think you could. I don't think you could not understand that he believes that our world is not a sphere and is not what we're told. Obviously, everything that Crow talks about is everything that you've been told is a lie. So rethink your environment, rethink where you live.
So just give him a proper plug, because we're well into talking about him. So CRROW777. So Crow 777 is the YouTuber we're talking about, and basically this guy's a very good sky observer. He's got a Meade telescope and an exceptionally good camera setup to capture these images and present them along with his presentations. So he's very well connected in terms of people up and down the country because of his original. I mean, where I came to him was because of I've forgotten the words for it now. The wave, the lunar wave, which is the thing that piqued my interest. That he'd captured with his equipment, and various people up and down, all over the plane. In fact, had sent him images of the same anomaly. So that's how I came in contact with him. But he's got some very diverse and widespread views in terms of conspiracy. He's an interesting character to listen to. He's good to listen to. You can listen to him for a long period of time. He's very animated for a start.
Yeah, no doubt. And I also have an interview lined up in the works. Well, not in the works. I'm sorry, in the editing studio with Jason Lindgren. So both host and co-host of Crow 777 Radio. And what was I going to say? Yeah, both of them do their best to avoid the labels in any general direction. So that's something that you will see them. They don't want to come down hard and fast on a community. But what I do want to say, because I was talking with Jason, is that he wants us to try to promote the movie that he's putting together on the lunar wave with Crow's story. So he wants that out in spring, kind of like a limited release. But I told him that I would do my best to try to get the word out in all of the opportunities that I had.
Cool. Plug your own channel, because that's where this interview is going to be featured. So make sure you put it up as a premiere as well, if you can.
Say that again.
I don't know if you know how, but when you upload it on a PC, there's a tab that you can highlight to make it a premiere. So the first time it goes out, uploaded, you can set a time that it will actually air for the first time, and you can get an audience. So, for example, on my second channel, Nathan Oakley, which a link will be in the chat as the show's end. So at the end of the next show, I'll put a link in, and it'll be for the premiere of the pre-show. Now this morning it was lots of silence because one of my amplifiers was off, and there was a bit of a hitch in that regard. But that's what a behind-the-scenes show is like. But nobody's heard it, and it will premiere. Nobody's got to see it before. Well, the same will apply to your Pro 777 interview. Nobody's heard it before, so if you can, tick that tab, and then you can watch it along with the audience. So you can actually chat in the chat box as people come, and I'll share the hell out of it. I'll stick it all over Facebook and Twitter if it's on at a time that I know. And that's how you do it. Schedule it so that people know that your interview with Crow 777 is going to be, broadcasting, so to speak, soon. And it's a really good feature. Premiere. It's ace. I love it. I think it's great.
So that's through the YouTube account?
Yeah. So when you upload it on your PC, when you're uploading it, on the right hand side, one of the tabs is just called Premiere. And if it's something that's not been seen before, then that's when you use that tab. If I clip something out of one of these debates, I wouldn't put it on as a premiere.
Got it.
Message for Pillbox in chat. He's being trolled currently by Laurie. Laurie Leato, or whatever is pronounced his surname as. He didn't know the dimensions of the Earth. He didn't know its diameter. He didn't know its circumference. He didn't know what the circumference was. So let's just remind Laurie that he didn't know the basics of his model. Yet comes on and tries preaching to us about it. So shout out to MG Pillbox getting trolled by Laurie, who doesn't know the dimensions of the Earth.
Great job, Pillbox.
That's very poignant what Pillbox just said. He says Larry is dying slow. Well, I would say that the globe myth is dying slow. We're being hankered, harpered, whatever the word is, sort of moaned at. The kid's watching herself in the camera, laughing her head off. Sorry, it's a bit infectious. Yes, that's funny. It's you. It's the globe that's dying off slowly, and to be moaned at that we say, well, you can't assume your outcome. The most fallacious of fallacious reasoning cannot be applied, and they go, what? What do you mean we can't assume our outcome and just demand that you assume it's a sphere to begin with? It's like, yeah, that's fallacious reasoning. That's kind of how you've tricked us into thinking we live on a sphere through brainwashing us with that shit from birth. So, no, you can't just assert that here in the debate. We now know it's fallacious reasoning. And they're like tutting and like it's some sort of outrage that we don't let them assume their outcome in a debate. It's like, what? No, there's no debate. The Earth isn't a sphere. We know it's flat. But if the people who are out there and watching this and go, well, what, really? Well, obviously we can prove it's a sphere, Dead Easy, right? Well, no. Unfortunately for the people who come on this show like Larry, it's far more difficult than you might imagine to actually prove you live on a sphere. And I'll tell you for why. Because you don't.
And that's that.
Maybe I should lead a blessing for those globeheads that are still in denial in the audience. Radius Dominus, Gravitas Spiritus Sanctus Arwin, go in peace, in R you trust. I want to use the exorcism one when we next get a globehead in. The power of R compels you. The power of R compels you. As we spray them with a bit of salt water from the Irish Sea or something.
Arwin, can you just hold the fort a minute? I have to go and let these little beasts out. They're mithering the hell out of me.
Guess he's on mute.
Yeah, is that you, Daniel? I need to turn you up if it is.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Don't apologise for you being too quiet.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I was gonna maybe if there's a quiet spot right here, I was checking out some infrared footage. Have you guys sort of looked into how far you can go with infrared cameras?
No.
There's one guy who claims he can get 150 miles to 200 miles. He's in Malibu and he's looking from the coast of Malibu back towards the mountain range. And with a regular camera, he cannot see like pretty much anything past the city skyline. But he puts like a infrared filter in front of his regular camera and gets like all this stuff in the background you wouldn't even think is there. Like the detail of the mountain is pretty good. And then he gets like a special spotting scope and puts a special infrared camera on that, and he goes about 200 miles, I think, with one image. I think it's Toulon or something like that. Globebusters has a video of it.
Yeah, J Tolan Media, I think he's called, something along those lines. Oh, if we had a phone drop. No, lost half the panel. Still there, Travis? Looks like we're going to have a short intermission. Noticed there was quite a disproportionate number of thumbs down on the show when it started today. Figure out the reason for that. Obviously annoyed somebody. Miles was telling me that he had a confession tape of somebody apparently leaving Flat Earth. Like a tearful confession. Sean something or other, he said. And he said it was my fault. I was like, really? Cool, man. If he's talking about me, I must thank him. Maybe we'll get some clarity from P if the show link goes out. I should really worry about getting that working rather than chatting. Right, this should be the work of but a moment. Okay, so the link's going out on Skype. Hopefully, if people can hear me, I'll stick it in Master B first and foremost. Sniped, says Arwin. Yes, indeed, he do. My apologies for the short delay. Let's clear this frog in my throat. Holy grey area, there you go. Hopefully we'll get a few guests back shortly. Stick the link out for the public to join again. Hey, Arwin.
Hello.
I didn't even see anybody join. Did you?
I don't know. I was making lunch and then I came back.
Oh well.
I tried to be quick, but
Nah, I think Anthony was like, I'm just going to go and let the dogs out. You there, Arwin? And we didn't get a reply, but we just carried on regardless. And the snipers, man, they're on their top game at the moment.
mm-hmm. They were trolling the chat in my Hangout as well.
Get out of
No, that was me.
You were the one with the sock account?
Oh no! Oh, I thought you meant no. I was in there as me.
Yeah, I know you were in there.
And you were like, right, guys in the chat, I want you to stop talking about this conversation. It's gossip, and you should be paying attention. So you can't control the chat. You're joking, right? Say something that's going to, get people's attention. Call Sean Hufford out for being a liar. you might attract attention of Sean Hufford in the chat, and that's how you get their attention. Whereas if you're being dull, then, you know, I'm going to chat with Pete Mars about his video with Hulk music in the background. Da, 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 da. It's played over the top of some guy's confessional. I don't know what the confessional was about. It didn't have any context whatsoever, or who the guy was. But it was just, I don't know, quite amusing that it got the Hulk, you know, the walking away bit with the music.
So,
Sound riveted, Darwin.
I guess it was probably the wrong thing to tell Arwin I was going to let the dogs out.
Yeah, maybe just don't mention it and just do it in future.
Oh, great, he's gone. Let's get in there quick.
Exactly. But it's still quite amusing in its own special way.
Yeah, it just
But
goes to
people are
show
that
that they still
concerned with the
love
show.
to hate the show.
Yeah, almost 200 people watching. It's like
I've got Alan B trolling me in the background. He's claiming that the show today is so poor and that Nathan's show is over for us all. It's not important. And the reality is, it doesn't matter whether you guys come on or not. The whole point is that we're here to show that you guys cannot prove your religion dogma to be true. And the more we come, the more people that come and realize that it's A, flat earth friendly, and B, we're basically a gang, then the conversation for proving the shape of the earth stopped in 2016. It's not really about the debate. It's really about showing people that you guys can't prove your nonsense, but dogmatically assert that it's true as a matter of fact. And you don't tell people that there's holes all over your belief system. And that's what we're here to do, Alan. We're here to tell you morons that the holes that you guys don't tell people about are an issue. That's exactly why we're here. So I agree, the debate is over. It went in about 2016 for me. But there's new people that come to this that don't realize that there is a debate, or that don't realize that it's over, but think there's a debate, and that's why we're here. So shout out to Alan B.
Alan B got a mention from a certain A-list flat earth celebrity. Yeah, he did. Somebody. So what makes me happy is occasionally, I mean, I'm not pretending to be very well connected with, you know, the flat earth A-list. You know, what is it that Validation Boy used to call the flat earth A-list? Something to do with gold. I can't remember what he used to call them. It'll come to me. Anyway, come on, help me out, somebody.
I don't know.
None of you are Validation Boy fans. Anyway.
Not really, no.
Shout out to Dank for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. I love flat earth debate. Well, that brought me back on track. Well spent. So yeah, it warms my heart when some of the, you know, better known flat earthers that have got big channels get in touch with me about particular points and say, this, that and the other about whoever that was on the panel, or this issue that was raised on the panel. You're like, thanks very much, Dearth, or thanks very much, Jaren, or, you know, thanks very much, Patricia. Whoever's got in contact about whatever they've got in contact about, usually a particular point of debate. And should I mention who the A-lister was? I won't mention who, but one particular well-known flat earther got in touch and was like, Alan's an idiot. What is he going on about this horizon field of view, you know, this horizontal, field of view, because it's not limited anyway. And it was just, you know, the fact that he had obfuscated it in such a, you know, hand wave dismissal manner, as they do, was enough to get the attention of a well-known flat earther, and enough to get in touch with me and mention it specifically. And you think, well, that really does warm my heart that some of the people, some of the audience are, you know, the people who are of note. You know, please share the show if you are a well-known flat earther. Stick it on Facebook, you bastard, whoever you may be. No, I don't mean you bastard. I mean you great loyal fans of the show. But yeah, anyway, it just pleases me to know that, you know, we've got an audience that's people like Sly Sparkane. On the other hand, I'm going to shout out the well-known globe heads. So you've got people like Red's Rhetoric, Sly Sparkane, Wolfie, whoever the hell you want to mention, they're watching this show, and that again makes me very pleased. So when people like Alan B say, the show's dying and blah blah blah, no, it isn't. The people who are watching it are of note, and that's why we get their attention frequently. That's why you have, you know, Ranty's, mine, and Anthony's and Darwin's name on the headlines of some of these videos that people produce. Our adverts, as I like to refer to them as, because that's all they are. You know, none of these guys are going to prove the Earth's a globe, so who gives a toss what they've got to say? You know, it's always the same nonsense, like Sean's response today. Oh, Mike's not told you something. Who cares? You've lied through your back teeth about a liar who's lied to you. So you're just a circle jerk of liars. You You know, Soundly's lying to you, you're lying to your audience, he's lying to everybody, Soundly that is. GeoStreber's lying about him being coached because he's a moron. You know, just a gaggle of liars.
But what's interesting is the most sincere and genuine people I've found on their side are the ones that do the active trolling. I'm not going to name names, but the ones that do the deliberate trolling are the most amiable of the lot. The ones that are the protagonists that push this nonsense, like Soundly and George Netanyahu. I mean, let's not forget about George Netanyahu for a minute. He's worthy of a footnote in that he claimed that Bill Miller was who he was referencing when he claimed that he'd spoke to Brian Mullen's wife. Oh no, sorry, BM's wife. In a thread that he claims that he told to everybody on numerous threads, but only in one thread did he claim that Bill Miller was actually the reference that he was referencing. In all the other claims that or in all the other threads, BM wasn't addressed. Nobody knew that BM didn't mean Bill Miller. Everybody thought that BM meant Brian Mullen because the whole context was to do with Brian Mullen. So if he was going to talk about a Bill Miller, you would put Bill Miller to contrast against the obvious confusion that it would cause if you addressed him by his initials, if you weren't actually addressing Brian Mullen and you were on about Bill Miller. So George Netanyahu is another one of these dishonest wankers that push this nonsense because you can't have a conversation about Coriolis without George being drawn in like some form of gravity. Yeah, if we start bashing Coriolis force, George will be in, guarantee it. But he's worthy of mention because he's as dishonest as they come. Utter liar.
Shout out Howard, is it Massicot? Thank you very much for the super chat. Hope I've said your name correctly at least once.
Anybody else got a cold, or is it just me?
I stayed home
I haven't had
yesterday
a
when it
cold
was
in
sticking it
over
down.
2 years.
I don't normally get colds. I'm not one of them people that's normally generally pretty healthy and don't get them.
Right, and Nathan didn't go to Spanish class this Monday, so he doesn't have a cold either.
Dawn Tread has been banned from the Globe Defence Cult Discord for Christmas, he says, as his feelings have been hurt. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Dawn.
See, Dawn's one of the guys that I consider to be a troll, but he's actually human in the sense that he realizes he's a troll and he realizes that there are issues, but he admits that he's happy to believe them anyway. I've got more respect for someone like Dawn, even though he's a bit of a moron in most aspects of this discussion, because he's honest enough to admit that it's a belief and he's happy believing it. I can't criticize the guy for that. You can believe anything you want, as long as you accept and acknowledge that it is a belief.
Like Wiggles did yesterday.
Yeah.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, so after the fact, Wiggles conceded that it's just his belief in this shit. The Globe belief, that is. And as soon as he'd left the panel and it had all closed down, he went into the comments and said, "There's no reasoning with flat earthers." His projection was that overt after spending 2 hours to get him to concede to the point, right? He went into the comments and said there's just no reasoning with them.
I honestly think that guy knows that. I can't understand how he can genuinely not know that he's wrong and fail to understand it when it's explained so many times. I showed him perfectly on screen an orthographic representation of where it goes wrong for him. And he still claims he didn't understand it.
Do you want an answer? I've slept on it, and this is my 2 pennyworth on it. How could it be wrong, right? That is the standard narrative. That is the narrative taught in schools. That is the narrative that you'll get if you wiki it. That's the narrative given to him by all of his compadres. That's the narrative. How could it be wrong? Well, for it to be wrong, which he obviously, for 2 hours just point blank refused to concede until he eventually did after we literally got him on camera to see the white of his eyes as he smirked every time we had him over a barrel. The reason is simple. He would have to accept that he's been lied to because it isn't correct. But that isn't about accepting us as correct, which we absolutely are. It's about accepting that he has indeed been lied to. What he's spouting, the narrative, which he understands, he's wrapped his head around it and studied it, and it's taught in schools. If that's wrong, then he's been lied to in a big way. That's what we've all accepted. We've all had to deal with it. And what do we get for it? Ridicule. Well, he's got that to face too, right? He knows what he would face if he accepted the awful reality of his situation. We've all accepted it. And we deal with the ridicule as a consequence of knowing the truth. He still parrots the narrative, because how could it be wrong? Well, it can only be wrong if he's been lied to. Most people don't want to accept that people who are in charge lie through their back teeth and deceive you about the very nature of your own existence. Well, tough luck, people, you lied to. Well, that doesn't mean that the world's a terrible place. It doesn't mean JLB's covering this at the moment, that there's agents everywhere and everyone's a shill. They're not. You know, the world's still pretty much as it was. You know, but your fellow man, right up to the higher echelons of society, will deceive you. Be it for a joke, because they're just having a bit of a laugh, and why not? They're in a position of authority, and they can, and most people are dumb enough to believe this crap. And the people who aren't, and don't want to face the fact that they've been lied to in a big way, will go out and study the narrative even closer, and polish up on the narrative, because how could it be wrong, right? They don't want to accept that they've been lied to, so how could it be wrong? That's their mentality.
I got a troll comment on one of my videos. You know that video I put on listening to your show in the car, which is a really cool video, actually. What we should do is appeal to everybody. But how do you actually listen to the show? If it's not the usual, I'm listening on my PC, what other ways are there that you listen to the show? Because we could collate it and like present like a collage of different people listening to it with different ways, just to piss the ballers off more than anything. But Saucy London, typical troll. I don't know who he is, but he frequents my channel quite a lot. And he actually asked me a normal question, so I answered it. And his question was, would you have paid more attention in school if flat earth physics was taught instead? And I said no, but I would have paid more attention if I was told that the best guess that we have is the Copernican model, but it has issues. These are the issues, and that it all relies on gravity, of which we have no evidence to prove this force. If I was told that, if I was told that I'd have to research it myself if I wanted to know more, then I would have paid more attention in school. So no, I wouldn't have paid more attention if FE physics was taught. But I would have paid more attention if somebody said to me, we think it's a ball and we don't think you should see further than this, but if you go to this place, you'll see that landmark and it should be behind the curve of the earth. And then if it was done in a way that was unbiased and objective rather than dogmatic and one-sided, or in other words, partisan politics, then I would say that if someone gave me the choice to go and research it if I wanted to know the truth rather than being told a lie, I would then have at least have had the choice to decide whether or not I was to be deceived, or if it didn't bother me at all and I could carry on getting drunk on the park at weekends with my mates. So at least I'd have had the choice. But at 38, looking back, I wish I'd have been told that this is not settled science, that there are issues that are contradictory and there are issues that are impossible on the model that we currently accept to be true. Then at least I'd have had the choice. That's the answer to the question. Nathan, what do you think? Would you have paid more attention in school if FE physics was taught instead?
Absolutely, I would.
You would?
I paid plenty of attention at school when I was there. So, you know, I don't think the subject matter matters. It's just the fact that it's being taught as truth when it's not valid. It's not verified. It's not true. So to teach lies, if you want to categorize them in that manner, then I think that's wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
And as you put it, if it was taught to you as this is our best guess, doesn't necessarily make it so, you know, but this is the best model we have, then you'd have a very different attitude towards life in general, because you wouldn't just go through life accepting unequivocally that you are on a spinning ball flying through space at unmentionable speeds, you know, with infinite expanses of nothingness in all directions. And, you know, the paradigm that comes along with that, everything came from nothing, Big Bang, all of that crap's all rolled up into one big fat giant turd sandwich.
I just want, if I'd have been told when I was in school that the moonlight appears to be cold, here's an experiment we can do at night time to test it, and then you can come to your own conclusions for your own interpretation of the results, or your hypothesis or whatever. If science was done in that kind of way and we were looking at the moon and whether moonlight was cold or not, you would be left with two conclusions. You would be left with the moonlight appears to be cold.
Leave Anthony jabbering away about a completely non-scientific non-experiment. As I say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in, and a massive thank you to Cynical Skeptic for the super chat just before we rounded out the show. Massive thank you to you, and also a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!